So if you are going through something extremely hard in your life, or perhaps just want to change your life in a positive way, I have the book for you guys. Now, my name is Marcus. This is Discover Ignite. And today I have a book review for you guys on a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. So sit back, relax, and let's get this book review started. So I just recently finished one of Michael Singer's other books called The Surrender Experiment, and that book was phenomenal, right? It's essentially his journey from a point in his life where, he had just recently got dumped. He was in college going to business. It's not something he wanted to do. All he felt like is he wanted to get out of the person he was. And so what he actually did was he essentially ran away into the woods and just wanted to meditate, right? Because that is where he found his peace. And essentially when he was doing that, he actually found his flow, and it just led him, it was his journey that led him to become the founder of WebMD. So his story is absolutely phenomenal. Now this particular book itself is different, right? It actually goes into how you can self-connect and a lot of different concepts and ideas that help you self-connect. And this is the kind of book I was looking for when I was doing these self-connections, right? Like, it was interesting to read the other book and see where the flow can take you, right? Because the flow can take you to some extraordinary places, and it proves that in the last book. Now, this particular book, talks about a bunch of different concepts. One in particular is about how we can have an out-of-body experience, essentially watching a movie, right? Because you're using your sight and you're using your hearing, and you find that when you're watching a movie, you become the character, right? You're this person that's, fighting the bad guys or whatever it is, but you become that character. And it's not until, there's a loud sound that's going on around you or something, and you kind of snap out of it, come to, and you try to see what's going on, or the movie ends, right? And then you just kind of jump back into your own body. And so he uses that concept to kind of look at yourself, right? And try to take that step back from yourself. And if you want to self-connect, that's really where it's at, right? All these thoughts and different ideas are essentially, are they really you? And that's a big question in the book. Like, who are you? Are you your physical body or your consciousness? And it kind of breaks all that stuff down, right? It really gets you thinking about where to be. And it also has you, try not to tie anything to positive or negative, thoughts or ideas, right? Because when you do that, especially with negative ideas, you may say that you hate when someone leaves the sink a mess or whatever, right? And so that's just a negative thought, right? And so anytime you see, a messy sink, you might go around and it just throws you off all day, right? Ultimately, it's trying to remove the positive and the negative out of your life, and essentially just allowing it to just be, right? And when it's coming through this filter, right, when it's coming through your line of sight, to not mark it as anything, to essentially just let it come and be. It is what it is. You're not going to associate anything with it, and just allow it to be. And I've noticed that doing my self-connection challenges and sitting in silence for an hour a day, I'm really starting to see how these concepts come to play, right? And how they actually help you. And you really I feel like when I come out of these sessions that you feel like you have no worries. You really find that peace, right? You really feel happy and joy, and you're not so much worried about what is going on, because, essentially nothing really matters, right? You're just in the moment. There's not good, there's not bad, and essentially just trying to stay in that good part, right? You don't want either one of the extremes, right? You don't want to be that person. A good example would be eating, was that you don't want to overgorge yourself, or you don't want to starve yourself, right? You want to be somewhere in the middle, to where that is where the peace is, right? Is when you can essentially be, like he puts it, like, you're not moving, you're essentially in one spot, right? You're just being, and allow your filter, your sight to not get stuck on things, right? And not allow your essentially full energy to come through, allow life to come through you, because you are stuck on these different ideas, whether positive or negative, right? And not allowing anything else to happen. So you miss a lot of opportunities because you're so essentially fixated on, ooh, this thing was so great in my life, and you think about that, and that's all you think about. Or, man, this thing over here, you know, is just driving me nuts, and it just bleeds, right? All this stuff bleeds over into other different things. And so it's trying to eliminate both of those, and you allow yourself to just go throughout the day and just let it happen, right? Enjoy what's going on, but not like label anything as like, okay, well, that's a positive thing, that's a negative thing, and then start thinking about it. So that's ultimately what it is just constantly like allowing yourself to stop, again, identifying anything that's going on in your life. And this is what this book does, and it goes really in depth with stuff like that, and really great ideas that I have never heard. Right now, a lot of these like concepts are kind of funny, because when you do a lot of self-development stuff, you know, you think about visualization, you think about, you know, positive affirmations, all these other different things, right? And when you start doing this, it's like a lot of the stuff is kind of associated in a way, but they just like use, it's almost like different terms, right? So you can almost look at it in that aspect, but ultimately I think you get a lot more of these self-connections as opposed to, you know, doing the affirmations and stuff. And because it's kind of all based around the same thing, right? One of them wants you to inject positivity, while the other one's kind of more like, well, you know, don't think it as positive, negative, just let it be, right? Because if you try to think it positive, negative, then you start setting up blocks that don't allow you to see, you know, the different options that you may actually have, and shut down, you know, other avenues that weren't there, because again, you're so fixated on whatever other thoughts or ideas are floating around in there, and to again just let it be. And so the concepts, they may seem far out there, but believe me, you know, I've come from the other side, right? That was very realistic and everything, and to know that, you know, there's this other side where, you know, some people can be extremely spiritual, you know, and there's, you know, the people that are in that realistic, right? That is so realistic that, you know, they don't believe in it unless they see it. And so you got to be, again, somewhere in between, right? And ultimately, this book again breaks that down and allows you to get a full grasp. So if this is something you feel like you are having a tough time in life, and you feel like you want to, you know, find your inner peace and find that energy, because I do notice when I do my sessions, like, I have a lot of energy. I find like happiness and peace when I come out of these sessions. And so it's just continuing that throughout the day, right? And being conscious of that, and not allowing yourself to mark stuff. And when you notice that you start marking things as positive or negative, to, you know, stop yourself and just let it be. It is what it is. Just let it be. And so that is some great things, again, that came out of this book. Now, as far as like any cons of the book, I will say that if you are not a religious person, I myself am not religious or spiritual. I haven't really been at all in my life. And so towards the tail end of the book, it does throw some religion in there a little bit, which is fine, but just like, it's towards the end, right? Like 3/4 of the book is not, where this very end of it kind of, you know, touches on some stuff and gives you some different thoughts and ideas. But nonetheless, I mean, the book itself was still phenomenal. I highly advise anybody pick it up, because, you know, you may be going through something in your life, or you may not be going in something in your life, but the ultimate thing here is that you want to find your peace and to find your happiness. And I think this book can really help you start getting that, right? Start getting looking for the happiness and stuff within. So if you guys enjoyed this video, smash that like button, and until next time, I will see you guys later.